Good morning. I remember I was doing oncology's cognitive behavioural therapy course, and one part that particularly stood out was the 9 different types of intelligence. It was a book by Howard Gardner. It was on intelligence, and uh, Kane explained it really well, the 9 different types of intelligence, in such a way that really stuck with me, and I recalled it at several points since. And this morning I was going to get up and I was going to do a big rant on the different types of intelligence and how it takes a certain type of intelligence to be able to evaluate the information that you're being given. And then it takes another type of intelligence again to be able to process this and use this and apply this information. Like, I remember, like, in a lot of the philosophy groups, some people used to have a laugh about the application of philosophy or the purpose of a philosophy degree, and say, like, that you'd be suitable for a job in McDonald's when you have your philosophy degree. But that was about as far as the practical application of philosophy went. And a lot of this is because the academics who study philosophy never really had any practical use for it, because they were brought up in a what do you call that? Silver spoon in your mouth. What do you call that? Privileged lifestyle. A privileged lifestyle where they really like when you look at the practical application of philosophy. Well, Julius Caesar found the practical application, found it very applicable. So did Napoleon Bonaparte. So did Alexander. Aristotle was Alexander's teacher. And so did Marcus Aurelius and Augustus. He was a Stoic as well. So basically what I'm saying is, like, yeah, well, if you want to do what I want to do, you need philosophy. And anyone who wants to get on this train is also going to have to learn philosophy. But yeah, and then I was thinking about I was going to go on a big rant about the different types of intelligence, as I say. But that was cut short then when I seen a quote by Marcus Aurelius, which I also see, when faced with people's bad behaviour, ask yourself, have you ever behaved like that? And that immediately cut everything I was going to say off at the quick. Because, like, I asked myself, have I ever left places, like, when I was starting out on this whole journey, like, where we could say I started in Romania, but you could say I really started in Turkey, which was the beginning of everything. But it was originally the beginning of everything. This is something I've concluded the other day, but I won't. Let's not digress. But I asked myself, have I left places due to my opinions and my opinions to external events? And I have. I started to laugh and say to myself, I have several times. And when I did leave these places due to my opinions to my external circumstances, it was to harsh consequences. And me being me, I didn't back down. I winced in pain, and I remember I used to think about that poem Invictus. You can look up Invictus yourself, but I am the captain of my ship. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my ship. I am the master of my soul. And basically, like, I used to say, basically, fuck you. I don't care. I used to actually say, on finding myself having left different places, like, someone might have taken me in and tried to make me work, and would have said, fuck you, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? It's not the work that bothered me. Work never bothered me, but there was well, I have some morals. It basically didn't align with my morality, and I left, but I'll talk about it again. But and then when I was out free, living like a cat, and I was out homeless, I used to say to myself, I used to quote Nietzsche to myself, there's no price too great for the price of owning yourself. And this was got to be true, because several people offered me jobs, to work in shops and things like this, or to bring people to shops. And they say, no, there's no price too great for the price of owning yourself. I'm free, you know what I mean? And this was grand, but at the same time then, when I was working in Hostel Mostel in Sofia, and I was doing the volunteer there, I was cleaning and getting up every morning. I wash all the dishes, and sometimes people had a big party. Well, we often had big parties, like in Fairness, like we often had big parties in Hostel Mostel. It was great. It was a great fucking place. But there might be a big pile of washing to do, a big pile of dishes to do. and I'd be there doing all the dishes early in the morning before anyone got up, and I'd be just saying, sometimes you just have a bad day. You know, some days you just have a bad day, like. But again, we don't control our thoughts. But you be just having a bad day, and I might cling to the wrong thoughts. I might say, "This is bullshit." You know, I'm more than this. I'm better than this. You get ideas about yourself, you know. And why am I here fucking doing this bullshit? This is bullshit. And the universe used to say to me, "Leave, leave." And I used to just start laughing and say, "No, I'm grand, thanks. I'm alright where I am." Because I found that what Nietzsche said, there's no price too great for the price of owning yourself. That's not true. That's not fucking true. Because I can take whatever attitude I wanted about doing the dishes and doing the bed and everything else. I had food and I had shelter and I was fucking grateful. And it was a shitload better than being outside trying to eat out dustbins and find shelter at night. It was a shitload better. It was a serious upgrade. But in order to have an appreciation for this, I first needed the experience of the consequence of leaving. And like, so when the universe said leave, I said, "No, you're all right, thanks. I'm just grand where I am." And I used to just laugh at. And from that moment on, then I'd laugh for the rest of the morning thinking about that you have power over your mind and not external events. And remember this, and you will find strength. This is Marcus Aurelius again. But this is what I was remembering yesterday. And I was remembering yesterday, like, you know, I was thinking yesterday back on a few things. And basically, like, you know, having the intellect to be able to assess the value of whatever information you be given, or the value of anything, really, like people tend to put a monetary value on everything. I remember one time a girl came up to me in the pub and she said to me, "Oh," I was only after opening the sunbed shop, and she said to me, "Oh, your sunbeds are very dear, Dave. Your sunbeds are very expensive, you know." I said, "Well, Lisa, it's like this. You can go down to Dunnes Stores and buy jeans for £6, but I wouldn't wear them." That was my answer to her. And then I remember, like, so when I say that people only put a monetary value on things, I have to say to myself, did I ever do this? And I did. I fucking did. I used to put a monetary value on everything until I learned how to reevaluate my values and how to assess the value of things differently. And this involves a revaluation of values. You know, what value do you put on anything, and what's causing you to value anything, and in a certain way over a certain over. This is what's necessary is a revaluation of values, but often this takes a good kick in the bollocks to bring yourself to this understanding. But basically, my point is, have I ever behaved like this? And in both counts, I have. So there's not really, I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to go on rant. I was going to go on anyway. Now, the second thing I'm going to say is, No, I'll tell you a story first about Turkey. So after the harsh consequences of leaving places and finding myself outside for a while, I got a job in a carpet shop. Well, actually, I didn't. I went into a shopping centre to find, like a cat. I went into a shopping centre to find somewhere to out of weather. Like, there was snow on the ground and everything. This was early about this time in Istanbul, and I went into a shopping centre and I sort of found a shopping centre, found a sort of a place with carpets, and I snuck into this little corner where I was sort of lying on a carpet on the ground, and I tell you, this was luxury. And then the owner of the shop came back and found me on the ground and said, "Oh, I'm out of here," you know what I mean? But he said, "No, stay where you are." And he was a terrible nice fella. He gave me a job in the shop. He used to pay me 50 lev a day. That's €8 a day. And he used to fold all the scarves and clean up all the shop. And I used to sell prayer rugs then at night. And he was crazier, and I very quickly noticed that he was crazier than I was. He was crazier than I was. And this in itself was very interesting. And this was a very surreal and interesting experience. And at this point, I realised like that I was being taught philosophy, and that this was a very surreal and interesting experience. That I was away completely out from the mundane life. This was yeah. What I can't describe it any other way. A very surreal experience, and I was being taught philosophy. But he gave me a job in the shop, and he gave me a job in the shop, and he used to sleep. I realised after that he owned the whole shopping centre. He was a multi-billionaire. He had several businesses, and he used to sleep on a bench down. This was. I realised this was pure stoicism. He used to sleep on a bench down the back of the shop, and he let me sleep on the floor. I used to roll out a rug for myself every night, and sleep on the rug I used to sell blankets as well, so I used to have a blanket over me. And I have to say, as I said, the upgrade from being outside was pure luxury. And yeah, so at night then I used to be lying on the rug. Now this man was like again, I used to look for a baseline for normal, and this man realign your baseline for you. But like you'd be lying on the floor, lying on the rug in the morning, and he'd come charged in with a customer, and get up, get up, get up, get up, and you start to leap up off the ground and roll up the rug and everything else before the customer came in. This could be at 6:30 in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, like he was outside selling prayer rugs and selling stuff at this hour of the morning. And then at night, then he used to come in, and I used to finish at 11 o'clock selling the prayer rugs. But once there was still customers there, because this was on the tourist part of Istanbul, he used to come in and he used to do Spanish lessons. You do Spanish lessons, so he'd be playing the Spanish list on a tape and reciting the Spanish lessons, and then after a while he started doing Chinese lessons. This is at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep on the floor, but I used to say to myself, this is a shitload better than being outside. And I used to evaluate what is my best response in this situation. And I used to say to myself, I could have an opinion this way or that way or anything else, but I have power over my mind and not external events, and I'm perfectly happy here on the floor. And I will endure what I can endure. What I can endure, I'll endure. This is all part of the experience. And then after a week or two in lying on the floor, after I got over the Spanish lessons and the Chinese lessons, he used to start listening to porn and wanking in the bed, and I was there like saying to myself, I didn't even think about him. I just looked up at the universe and said, "You're too much. This is really too much." And I used to just start laughing and put in my earphones and say, "You're really, really pushing the boat out now." But basically, my point is, he didn't give two fucks for my opinion, and nature didn't give two fucks for my opinion, but the only person who was going to have to suffer the consequences of my opinion was me. So basically I could have what opinion I want in relation to this, but I have power over my mind and not external events. So I just said to myself, I can have any opinion I want in relation to this, but I'm going to choose the response that serves me best, and that's to put in my earphones and fucking go to sleep or lie back down and just be very grateful for the fact that I have a rug to sleep on and a blanket over me and money for food, and that's and for that I'm grateful, and I'm not going to start having opinions that don't serve me very well or would cause me to walk out of here and go back to the harsh environment. I make it off this. Bye.